Okie dokie. I'm going to share my screen. If I get to it. Uh-oh. Okay. So, thank you all, first off, taking time out of your days to come here and listen to me talk for X amount of time. But today's speech will be an informative speech over the America Competes Act of 2022. And you're probably wondering what that is, or you know everything about it. I don't know if there's a gray area in between, though. Anyways, the real nitty gritty of this is going to be talking about the effect on exotic animals and their market. So, first off, why this topic? I'm sure you're wondering, but well, it was brought to my attention first off, and I'd never heard of it. I wasn't aware of this act in the first place, but by the time I had heard about it, it was already passed on, I believe, February 21st. It was passed. I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that part. I know that when I started this, it was already passed, but I figured it was interesting because of the little pamphlet on the right half of the screen. Talked about how it was affecting animals and pets of all species, it says. So I figured that would be an interesting topic to talk about. And I know all of you, if not most of you, if not all of you, are very in tune with animals and you care for them. So figured it would be a good topic to talk about. To start off, I wanted to really talk about what the American Competes Act is in general. Basically, it is an act that allows us to compete with other economies in the world, such as China, Russia, Canada, etc. What the competes part means is it's actually not compete as in competition, although I think it is in a sense, but it's an acronym for creating opportunities for manufacturing preeminence and technology and economic strength. Let that one simmer and you say that 5 times fast. First off, how does this help? What this really does for our economy and for us is it authorizes the establishment of rebuilding economies and creating opportunities for more people to excel, which is called Recompete. It's a pilot program which essentially will deploy new jobs that are lasting and helpful for people in our community to better the economy of their piece of our nation. So certain neighborhoods will have better and more lasting jobs that are put in, and they can raise the economy of their area. The second half of how this helps us is that it goes into invests in bioenergy research, which is essentially solar panels, windmills, and I'm sure the whole other plethora of things I don't know about. This improves our resiliency in our electrical grid in our nation, which will in turn make it a lot more, a lot more natural and less non-biological, non-bioenergy. So what is this act doing though? It's a multitude of amendments and acts that are going towards a variety of topics, all intended to help us. But the main one that I put down here was it was intended to go towards research infrastructure, which is essentially the researching of, well, as mentioned earlier, the natural bioenergy methods, or for this one right here, the Natural Science Foundation, allowing us to further our research of our planet and what is necessarily good for it. It also is there to create a strategic transformer reserve, facilitate domestic manufacturing, and test critical electric grid equipment to reduce vulnerability and increase resiliency in the event of severe damage to the electrical grid. So it almost makes a fail-safe for us as well. Now to the real meat of everything. How does this affect exotic animals? And that really is just in the amendments. The amendments directly affect exotic animals through a blacklist and whitelist, more the latter than the former, and goes against exotic animal exchange and their business. And in this slide, I'll talk more about that. And it's not a blacklist like the show, unfortunately, but rather it puts common animals such as cats and dogs on a white list and therefore blacklists all other animals. I'm not sure of the exact of that list, but I know dogs and cats are definitely on it. This also in turn allows the Lacey Act to disallow injurious animals from being transported from one state to the other. Now you're probably wondering, what is the Lacey Act? And then here it is. The Lacey Act was an act, of course, created in 1900 and has been revised since then. It was last revised in around 2008, regarding more plant and woodland creatures. In its essence, the Lacey Act is there to protect against illegal possession, taking, transport, and selling of wildlife, such as plants, animals, the sort. What this means in regards to the America Competes Act is that blacklist, or rather the white list, the blacklist then is considered injurious animals under the Lacey Act, thus disallowing them to be transported from one state to the next, disallowing them from being taken out from outside of our country's borders, and disallowing the selling and distribution of those animals. I'm not 100% sure on the possession part, but it is something to think about as well. So this essentially makes it extremely difficult for animal expos and other sorts of exotic animal business and trade to really flourish. It almost completely takes them out of the question in our nation. In the end, I just wanted to spit a bunch of facts at everyone. I wanted to make sure to put in here that whatever emotions you're feeling are valid in this situation, and that if you are against any of this act being pushed out to the public, then you can contact your senator and protest. All in all, we spoke on what the America Competes Act was, how it affects exotic animals, and how the Lacey Act takes place within the America Competes Act. In the end, this affects all of us, whether it be positive or negative, and who knows, you might flourish from the new electrical grid that is going to be researched, or you might be negatively impacted as you may try and find an exotic animal and you might turn up with nothing soon. But all in all, thank you all for taking time out of your days for me to spew a bunch of facts at you again, and I hope you learned something. That's it. I forgot to stop.